Number 1, which expression is equivalent to k plus 7k plus 4k? So these are all k variables. I have 3 terms. Each term is k. I have 1, 7, and 4. They're all positive. So 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12. We have a total of 12k. Solve for x. So x is my variable, and I want it all by itself on the side that it's on, and it is not. So I need to get rid of this 6. And remember, we do opposites. So the opposite of plus 6 is minus 6. And if I subtract 6 from the left side, I have to subtract 6 from the right side. Well, plus 6 minus 6 is almost like a 0 pair. They cancel. So all I have left on my left side is that x. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. So x is negative 3. And if I want to double check that, I just plug it back in for x. Negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. So that one's good. For this one, I have a fraction, and a fraction is division. The opposite of division is multiplication, so I know that I'm going to need to multiply both sides by a number. Well, I want to multiply by whatever is on the bottom, so negative 9. So this is the same thing as negative 9 over 1, and this is 1 over negative 9. So these will cancel, and I'm left with in equals negative 4 times negative 9 is positive 36. And I can check that by plugging it back in. On this one, we're distributing this negative. And remember, there's an imaginary 1 right here. So it's like we're distributing a negative 1. And when we distribute a negative, all it does is change the signs inside. So a negative times a positive is a negative 4.4g. Negative times a positive is a minus 10. Just changes the signs. Use the distributive property to write an equivalent expression. I'm giving away or multiplying that 3. So that 3 times each term. 3 times 5y is 15y. 3 times positive 3 is positive 9. Now we're doing the opposite. We're factoring. So we have to take each term and we can draw t-charts. So does each term have an x? No. So that is not a greatest common factor. So we're just going to use the 3 and the 6 and draw our t-chart. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So my greatest common factor, the greatest number they both have, is a 3. So that goes on the outside of my parentheses. I'm going to divide every term by my greatest common factor. 3x divided by 3 is x. Negative 6 divided by 3 is minus 2. So my answer is 3 times x minus 2. And I can double check that by multiplying through. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 2 is minus 6. Find the value of x. So my total is 10, and I can think of that as 10 candy bars. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, and I want to know how much each friend gets. Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. Each x is 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. What is the value of the expression 8w minus 3 when w is 2? So when it tells me what w is, all I'm doing is plugging in that value for w. And if there's a variable right next to a number, remember this is the coefficient, that means multiplication. So 8 times 2 minus 3. 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 minus 3 is 13. This one was a little bit trickier. So this is my number, this is my variable, and this is a number. And remember, my goal is to have the variable be the only thing on that side of the equation, and right here it is not. So I need to move this number over here by using opposites. The opposite of this positive 5 is a negative, or positive 50 is a negative 50. If I subtract 50 from the left, I subtract 50 from the right. These cancel. They're 0 pairs. I am left with negative a over 11 equals 8. A fraction is division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by whatever is down here on both sides, because these will just cancel. I have negative a equals 8 times 11 is 88. And you might be tempted to stop here, but remember, I don't want to know what negative a is. I want to know what positive a is. So I can divide both sides by negative 1 to get a positive a equals negative 88. And you can plug that back in for a and see if it works. Number 10, solve for x in graph. So when we have these inequalities, we solve them just like we do our equations. So my variable is not the only thing on this side. I need to do the opposite of positive 8 on both sides. Positive 8 minus 8 cancels. I'm left with x. Bring down my sign. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. So now I'm going to find negative 2 down here. I'm going to put a circle on it. I have to figure out if my circle is opened or closed. In this case, it is closed because I have an equal sign down here. So it includes negative 2. X is less than negative 2, so I go to the left. Okay, same thing. 4 times x, that's multiplication. The opposite is division. I'm going to divide both sides by 4 because I don't want 4x, I want 1x. 4 over 4 is 1. I'm left with x is less than. Negative 28 divided by 4 is negative 7. So I'm going to come down here, find negative 7, put a circle. My circle is open because there's no equal sign. It does not include negative 7. X is less than negative 7, so I'm going to go to the left. Solve for x and then graph. Same thing. It is implied that this is multiplication. Negative 7 times x. The opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide by negative 7 because negative 7 over negative 7 is 1. X on the left side is what's left. 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. And we need to stop because we divided by a negative. And remember, if we divide or multiply by a negative number, we have to flip our sign to make it still true. So now I'm going to find that negative 2 right here. Draw my circle. My circle is not filled in because there's no equal sign on the bottom, and x is less than negative 2. Okay, this is a review question. Alexandra was out at a restaurant for dinner when the bill came. Her dinner came to $16. After adding in a tip, before tax, she paid $20.96. Find the percent tip. So for this one, I want you to remember part over whole. Just like any normal fraction, you have the part over whole equals percent over 100. Okay, so before you pay the tip, you don't know this number yet. So your whole is 16. That's on the bottom. I'm looking for my percent, and I keep my 100. The part is what I paid in dollars as my tip. So $20.96 minus 16. And that's going to be $4.96. So that $4.96 is going to go right here. And then remember, this is just cross multiplying. So 4.96 times 100 is 496. And then divided by whatever's left, which is 16, my percentage should be 31%. So remember, I did multiply across, divide by what's left, and I should get 31%.